I Have a Rendezvous with Death by Seeger, 1888 to 1916. I have a rendezvous with death at some disputed barricade, when spring comes back with rustling shade and apple blossoms fill the air. I have a rendezvous with death when spring brings back blue days and fair. It may be he shall take my hand and lead me into his dark land, and close my eyes and quench my breath. It may be I shall pass him still. I have a rendezvous with death on some scarred slope of battered hill, when spring comes round again this year and the first meadow-flowers appear. God knows 'twere better to be deep pillowed in silk and scented down, where love throbs out in blissful sleep, pulse night to pulse and breath to breath, where hushed awakenings are dear. But I've a rendezvous with death at midnight in some flaming town, when spring trips north again this year, and I to my pledged word am true. I shall not fail that rendezvous. Okay, this poem is by Seeger. Let's see, Seeger was an American, and he joined up in the First World War, when he actually joined the French Foreign Legion, because at that time the United States hadn't entered the war, and he couldn't serve in the French military, so he joined the French Foreign Legion. He went to Harvard University, and he wrote poetry, and he lived in Greenwich Village for 2 years. He was a young bohemian. Notice as well, his nephew is Pete Seeger, the singer. Okay, so clearly there's poetry and that in the family. Pete Seeger's a singer and an activist as well. So what's this poem about? Well, this poem is saying, I have a rendezvous with death. I have a meeting with death. I'm going to die. This war is going to kill me. I have a rendezvous with death at some disputed barricade. So death is going to find me. I don't know when, but maybe in a barricade where the soldiers are fighting. When spring comes back with rustling shade and apple blossoms fill the air. So maybe this will happen in spring, when the spring has come back and there apple blossom everywhere in the air and you can feel the shade. I have a rendezvous with death when spring brings back blue days and fair. So I'm going to meet death when spring comes back, when the days are blue and fair again. And I think also, though, that these allusions to spring are talking about being reborn. Maybe you is dying and being reborn, either being reborn in heaven or being reborn as another person, taking shape, moving on to the next life. It may be he shall take my hand and lead me into his dark land, and close my eyes and quench my breath. So maybe death will come and death will take my hand, and he will lead me into the land of death, and he will close my eyes and quench and stop and fulfill, terminate my breathing. It may be I shall pass him still. So maybe I will have longer, maybe death will be there, but I'll go past him. And maybe that won't be my moment. I have a rendezvous with death on some scarred slope of battered hill. So I'm going to meet with death on the slope of a hill where clearly it's scarred, it's covered with scars, with marks and cuts, on a hill that's been battered by the army. When spring comes round again this year, so when spring comes and the first meadow flowers appear, so maybe when it's spring, maybe that's when I'm going to die. God knows 'twere better to be deep pillowed in silk and scented down. So God knows it would be better to be in a bed with silk pajamas with lots of pillows and scented down. I think the scent, this is the scent of a lover, and the down is the pillow, the duck down pillows. Down, I think, is are the feathers from the breast of an eider duck, yeah, where love throbs out in blissful sleep. So he'd much rather be in bed with a lover, in a beautiful, comfortable bed, where there is love and sleep. So here he's saying that he's not asking for death, he's not looking for death, but he's convinced that death is going to find him on this battlefield. Pulse nigh to pulse and breath to breath. So he's sleeping with his lover, and his pulse is nigh, is next to the pulse of his lover, and his breath is next to his lover's breath, where hushed awakenings are dear. And he's thinking about quietly waking up next to this person that he loves. And then he goes back to the battlefield again. But I've a rendezvous with death in midnight in some flaming town. So maybe he's going to die in a town that is burning at midnight. When spring trips north again this year, when spring comes, spring, rejuvenation, life. And I to my pledged word am true. So I have made my pledge, I have made my promise to fight to the death in this war, and I will keep this word, and I shall not fail that rendezvous. So when death is ready to take me, then I will be there and will go. So I will be true to my word. So sadly, he was killed in the Battle of the Somme, the sad way to go, in 1916. So enough. If you enjoyed the video, give it a rating, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you soon. Bye for now. I Have a Rendezvous with Death by Seeger.